Totally pleased with this week, with the performances. I'm a deep believer in you play how you train. It's never a guarantee, so a good preseason or a good last week and especially a good last session is never a guarantee that you are there with an unbelievable world-class performance in the first game. But I'm not a believer in coincidence. I'm a believer in hard work and well-deserved benefit. And all I can say, I've got the feeling we are well prepared. But the most important thing is that we bring it on the pitch tomorrow. It's always the same. As soon as preseason is nearly done and the real stuff begins, all the players are back in training and fit. So I'm not sure why it was like this. So perhaps it is coincidence. It was 20 years ago. It's nowadays. It will be in 20 years. So during preseason there are also always some slight problems, and when the real stuff begins, the players are back. So in general, without joking, pretty good because. Jamal is since 2 days back in team training, so too early to bring him in Birmingham on the pitch, but he's back in team training. Ivo is back since the beginning of the week. Alex Sete is back since 8 days, I think. All the other lads who had some problems. Grant meanwhile he was involved in the game. So all in all, pretty good. We had many lads on the pitch. And the only one who's still out, so the long-term injury was Mario Francic. And of course Matt Jarvis. But all the other lads are fit, available, and for some it's a bit too early, like I mentioned. So for Ivo it's a bit too early. For Jamal it's a bit too early. But all the other lads are prepared and ready.
So John Rhodes okay?
Yes, he's back in team training since Wednesday. 100% he will travel with us to Birmingham. He's within the traveling squad. We have to think about if it makes sense after this injury to bring him in the starting lineup. But he was able to train the last 2 days with us, and at least he can travel with us. It's always the same. It was 20 years ago and will be in 20 years. So the first game day, you don't know exactly in which shape you are. Even if you have a bad preseason or you're really good preseason, everyone is a bit unsure how it develops and what happens on the first game day. It's more like, okay, after the first game, then you're in the season, and then from then on you can start. And it's always a bit a special situation. It's important in the first game also to have sometimes a bit more the experienced lads perhaps on the pitch, because they're used to be there with the situation and to handle it anyhow. I think this could be sometimes important. But you never know. So first game is always a bit difficult to predict, and we will see what happens. Okay, to be honest, it's sometimes in terms of man management not so easy, because then you have to have some tough decisions. Who's in the squad? Who's in the starting lineup? We have today, or at least in the last week, we had in the end sometimes 21, 22, 23 field players on the pitch, and you can't fulfill all the expectations. So it's more like, as a player, you can't wait till the real stuff starts. As a coach, it's sometimes more like, okay, the real stuff starts. It's there are some tough decisions to make, and it's more like in the nights not so easy to sleep because you have to make some tough decisions. It's not like a player who is really unbelievably excited, and the coach is more like, you're concentrated on your job. But I think for all of us, it's important that it starts, and this is why we work in this business, and we want to be there. We want to have this competition, and we're all looking forward to.
Daniel, in terms of what you've learned from your first season in the Championship and going into this one, are all those lessons that you learned last year there for you to take into this first game straight out and away you go, compared to where you were 12 months ago?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is quite important for a coach, that you are open for learning, and you each and every day you want to improve and want to learn. So I think even for when you're in a special age, and it's important that you don't say, no, right now I know everything about each and every league and about football. So football is always fluent, and you have to develop and improve everything. So it always helps to be experienced. It helps to have one year of experience in the Champions League, also in the Championship. Also, it was anyhow in last season a situation when I had to get used to all of my players. Right now it's most of the most players in the squad. I know already. I worked with them. I know how they react in difficult situations, how they react in special situations. That always helps a bit, and it's also important that you are open and try to learn from each and every day. And experience always helps. Yes. I'm totally relaxed in this topic. So first of all, I'm mentioned several times, full of respect of the career and also the quality of Russell and Nelson. I think the two personal terms are a bit different. So I made it clear with Russell. Yeah, he was club captain for such a long period and really a legend and did so much for the club. I think he's a player. Either you support him with 100% and you back him with 100%, and because he's there with a big personality and also so important in the dressing room, and you support him against all odds, and when there's a poor performance you stand behind him and protect him against supporters, press, whatever, or you have to do without him. So it's now I think with such a player you can just do it either black or white, not just with grey colors or something like this. And okay, we decided then in the last season that we do without Russell, and he had a loan stint, and yeah, how long he ever will be around, I will always be full of respect and yeah, totally appreciate also his support. And I think he's a great guy and still a great player. But anyhow, we had this decision that we did without him, and I don't think there will be the point when we say, okay, he could be involved sometimes as a substitute and perhaps for 1 or 2 games, and then perhaps because of injuries or whatever. I think it wouldn't be respectful to handle this with a player like Russ. So that's with him. Yeah, and with Nelson, it's quite relaxed. So to be honest, I made it clear he's a part of our group. He has our number 9 shirt. He's each and every day together with the lads on the training pitch. To be honest, training pretty well. He's in a really good shape. But I made it clear as well. We were pretty honest and had some pretty honest chats with Nelson that we bring some new strikers in. And 100% at first, I will concentrate on integrate them into the team and focus on them. So to be honest, Nelson is not in my thoughts for tomorrow. But you never know what happens in football. So it's a bit different. So when he's around and there are some injuries and you never know what happens. So I think this is different to the personal situation with Russell. Nelson is still a part of our group, is training pretty well, and I can't predict what happens in the future.
Just one more.
Yes.
We got to see a few of the youngsters in pre-season, and I think when you're a younger player, and so Max Aarons as an example, you get a go in pre-season, you're probably going to be pushing pretty hard and you'll always look pretty good. Will there be a slightly different dynamic in terms of the squad now for Saturday, in terms of whether those players are involved or whether they're part of the group, and whether there are options elsewhere, I suppose?
First of all, I'm pretty impressed and pretty pleased with several young lads. So, for example, Ben Godfrey was for me outstanding, especially in the centre back position. Okay, but we still have some really good option on this position as well. Max Aarons for me was perhaps the biggest surprise during pre-season, because I was totally convinced of his potential, but I didn't expect him to be so quick in his development. And he's even 1 year younger, for example, like James Maddison was in last season, or Jamal Lewis was in last season. So sometimes even I forget that he's anyhow so even 1 year younger. So for that, I was totally pleased with him, and it was no coincidence that he played so much. Todd Cantwell, I think he was also impressive in this games he played, and I think it won't last pretty long. So I'm not a coach who says, okay, the future belongs to the young lads, and the future means then anywhere in 3 or 4 years or whatever. So I think it will be not just on long term. So I think they will be pretty much involved during this season. Like I mentioned before, perhaps the first game day away game at Birmingham against a pretty experienced side is perhaps, when there's so much pressure on this game, perhaps not the perfect stage to bring all of them immediately into business in the starting lineup in the squad. So I think it's not like we just will travel with the older lads. But I don't think we will involve all of them for this first game day, and not all of them will travel with us and will be in the squad of 16 field players. But I think that their time will come pretty soon, and even for one or two of them, it could be even tomorrow.
Cheers, Daniel.